It actually went away. So I'm bringing it up again so that I can share my screen. And there it is. I will do that in just a minute. You guys are in for such a treat. Actually, it's not responding. I can't bring up, but oh, there it is. Okay. So I am going to share my screen, everybody, to bring up Dr. Daniel Witkowski's, let's see. Oh, I don't know if it's, can you guys see that screen?
Yes, it's there, Tina.
Okay, great, because I'm working on 2 slides here. So it is my honor. I am so humbled and honored to introduce the infamous Dr. Daniel Witkowski. Dr. Dan is double board certified. Not only is he an obstetrician and gynecologist, board certified, but he's one of only 24 clinicians worldwide that is certified as a lifestyle medicine physician through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. He has been in practice as an obstetrician gynecologist in Melrose, Massachusetts since 1994. And he is a certified plant-based nutritionist. And he and his wife, both dear friends of mine, Pamela, they are the co-founders of Lifestyle Design MD, which is a program where they transform people's lives through plant-based nutrition and lifestyle. And he's going to teach a lot about that tonight, I'm sure. So Dr. Witkowski has served on national patient safety boards. He is nationally recognized speaker and trainer through Nutrimetrics also. He is a member of the Nutrimetrics Clinical Advisory and Board and faculty. And he and his wife, Pamela, have been married for 36 years, but as Pam likes to say, they have been dating for 42 years. They have 6 children and 3 grandchildren. And I have the distinct honor of calling them my dear friends. We're business partners, we work together, and you guys are in for a treat. I've heard Dr. Dan teach many, many times. I personally have learned so much from him. So take it away, Dr. Dan.
It was 1985 when I was in my first year of medical school. Pamela and I were recently married, and Pamela was actually pregnant with our first child, Sarah, which many of you know. But while I was going to medical school, we lived close to Boston. I went to Tufts University right downtown in Boston, and I took the bus to school every single day. And if anybody knows the commuting system in Boston, I would take the 111 bus from Chelsea, Massachusetts, across the bridge, get on the Orange Line at Haymarket Station, get off at Essex Street, downtown Boston, and walk from Essex Street Station to Tufts Medical School. So that took me down Nealon Street. And when I took the right onto Harrison Avenue, where Tufts Medical School, where all my classes were, I walked right by the School of Nutrition, Tufts' world famous Friedman School of Nutrition. And I can still today vividly see that sign on the side of that building, Tufts University School of Nutrition. And I would look up at that sign and I would say, what the heck are they doing in the School of Nutrition? Here I am. I go to the medical school, Tufts School of Medicine. That's where we're learning how to treat people. That's where we're learning how to take care of people and make them healthy. Little did I know that had nothing to do with making people healthy. At the School of Medicine, yeah, sure, we learned all about pharmacology and physiology. We learned all our anatomy, but we didn't really understand how people were healthy, how people could maintain their health. We got, and Tufts is very proud of this, I can tell you, they like almost advertise this to all of the medical community, that they're one of the leaders in how many hours of nutrition training that they give their students. Well, through the 4 years I spent at Tufts Medical School, I got 21 hours of nutrition training. And it was so funny because I used to sit up in the back of the room for classes like that. Although every class was required, we were required to attend, we thought that was one of the, pardon the pun, gut courses. And many of us didn't even take notes during the nutrition classes. We just showed up for the exams, and they really weren't that challenging. But then after I graduated and I went to my residency and I became an obstetrician gynecologist, while I was a young doctor, I just, raising a young family, kept doing what I always knew, what I was taught when I was younger. And those were my habits. That was my lifestyle. So for my family, I just kept feeding them the same things that I would eat when I was younger. Little did I know that much of that was very toxic to them. It really wasn't giving them their health. It was a lot of processed foods. But then as I was practicing, I started getting lots of questions from my patients about medications they're on or conditions they're being diagnosed with. Even they were like getting heavy and wondering, Dr. Dan, why am I getting heavy? What is it that's causing me? Is it me transitioning like into menopause, or what is it that's enabling me to put on weight when before I was always in such good shape? Well, I didn't know those answers. They were asking me even about supplements, because supplements were starting to become more and more popular as we started to learn more and more on how supplements can help us attain that optimal health. And I didn't know those answers. So I had a lot of frustration. I thought maybe that this type of medicine isn't really what I wanted to do, because I wasn't making people healthy. I didn't want to get people, to treat their diseases or keep them away from disease states. I wanted to help people obtain healthy states to be as well as they could be. But I never was taught that. I didn't really know. So I had to try to find out on my own. And I started exploring different modalities of medical practice, whether it was integrative medicine or functional medicine. And all around this same time, a wellness consultant happened to walk into my office and started teaching me, or at least explaining to me, about wellness and custom wellness solutions for patients in my office. She started showing me some supplementation, some unique supplementation that I could share with patients and help them achieve that optimal wellness. Well, I had 2 questions for her when she came to my office, and she gave me a resounding yes to both of them. And, many of you probably know her. She's part of Nutrimetrics with many of us, and her name is Kathy Kaufman. And when Kathy Kaufman was in front of me in my office, I needed to know whether or not I could taste these vitamins, because she was talking about how unique they were and that they came in a liquid state. And I wasn't going to start recommending or even taking for myself if I didn't like them. And she did. She had those right there in her bag so I could taste them. And then I asked her, because of my background and my education that I had, can I get trained to learn more about these? And again, she said yes. So Nutrimetrics got to be a big part of my life, because I started training in how supplementation, nutritional supplementation, can enhance your health and enable you to get to that level of optimal health that you want. But as I started looking more and more into the types of modalities of medical practice, I found lifestyle medicine. As Tina said, lifestyle medicine has become a big part, not only of my life, but also of my medical practice. It's become a part of all of my friends and even all of my family's life. But as this lifestyle medicine started to take hold of my practice, I realized that I needed to learn the most I can. I needed to become expert in this field of lifestyle medicine. And it led me, as Tina said, to become board certified in lifestyle medicine. And I know she shared with you that I even became a fellow of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, something that I'm even more proud of than being board certified, because it takes all of the board members of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine to welcome you into that small group. And it has mushroomed up to 40 of us now all over the world, but it's still a very elite group. And you have to prove that you have not only learned the lifestyle medicine pillars, but you also had to share that with people and make a difference in people's lives. So they were very interested in how I was doing lifestyle medicine and practicing lifestyle medicine. So people say to me, well, what is lifestyle medicine? If anybody here wants to learn more about it and dive into it a little bit more, there are some great resources online. Resources like the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and their website is lifestylemedicine.org. The other one is the Institute of Lifestyle Medicine right here at Harvard Medical School. They're based out of the Spalding Rehab Center in Charlestown, but their website is just that, the Institute of Lifestyle Medicine.org. But lifestyle medicine is the evidence-based lifestyle therapeutic interventions that we can use, or as physicians, we can prescribe to our patients that will enable them to not only treat some of their chronic illnesses, but also to reverse their chronic illnesses. And that's something that when I first heard it, I didn't believe it. But as I started to study it and I started to learn of case studies that actually did have reversals, and even in my practice, when I saw patients now getting off of their medications by their primary care doctors, or losing weight and not requiring all of the other types of lifestyle issues that they were dealing with over and over because of those weight conditions that they had, really made a big difference in my life. If I was to share to you what is lifestyle medicine, it really rests on 6 pillars. 6 things that if we just change some of our habits and we just practice what the evidence shows can make a difference in these 6 modalities, these 6 pillars, we can obtain that optimal health. The first is nutrition. And that really is the foundation. And I'm going to talk more tonight about that pillar of lifestyle medicine because of its foundation. And then we're going to get into how we can supplement our nutrition and make it optimal for any of the conditions we have, or even any of the challenges that we have in our lives. The second is physical activity. And I don't like to use that word exercise, because even in lifestyle medicine, it's not about doing certain exercises or practicing a certain physical routine. You don't have to buy any special equipment. You don't even have to join any special organizations, but you need to keep yourself moving. You need to keep yourself physically active. And the recommendations that have been made from the American College of Cardiology or the American Heart Association are quite simple. And again, all evidence-based. And that is practicing 150 minutes of moderate exercise every single week. How simple is that? 150 minutes, that's 30 minutes, 5 days a week. You know, most days, just move your body. And how do you know if it's moderate exercise? Well, the definition is very, very vague. But some of the studies they've done is to find when you can really make a difference in your health, in your wellness, if you can do your exercise and carry on conversation like I am, that's great. But that's not moderate exercise. What you got to do is you got to try to sing. Like I always say, if you're out for a walk, you can't just be walking your dog and checking everybody out in the neighborhood and like looking at seeing what they're doing with their landscaping in the springtime, like we are now. But you got to walk so that if you try to sing happy birthday, you can't do it. You know, and if you're walking along and you just can start, happy birthday to me. If you can sing happy birthday, you got to get your arms going. You got to get your body moving, and you got to start moving a little bit better so that now you're singing happy birthday like that too. And you can't carry a tune. Now you're doing moderate exercise. That's going to get your heart rate up. That's going to get your blood flowing. That's going to get your organs then to really help you be healthier, detoxifying, functioning, doing everything they need to do. The third is restoration. Now, the Institute of Lifestyle Medicine and even the American College of Lifestyle Medicine break this down into sleep, which is so important to us, and it affects all of our lives and all of our functioning, how well we function every single day. But also they break it down into stress management. We all have stresses every single day. But how do we manage those stresses? Whether we're, we haven't done this in a while, but commuting to work, when we're stuck in a traffic jam, how do we not have to make sure we get there on time and we're all stressed out behind the wheel? Or do we just start focusing on our breathing when we're sitting at a red light or in traffic and be a little mindful about how beautiful the day might be, or that you really have a great weekend that's coming up this weekend? But how do we manage our stress is so important and influences so many of the chronic illnesses like cardiac disease, diabetes, and obesity. It really has so much influence on all our hormones, because when some of our hormones are off, all of our hormones are off. And so that balance, that hormonal balance, will enable us then to attain that optimal health. So stress management is so, so important. And then community, just like this community tonight. How do we surround ourselves with people that are going to lift us up? Or how are we going to surround ourselves with people that are going to keep us accountable? If you look all over the world at the people that live the longest, and this has been well documented in many publications, many books that have been written about the blue zones. And if you want to learn more about the blue zones, that's another great website to explore, bluezones.com. Blue zones are those areas where there are the most centurions, most people living past 100, many of them 115, 116 years old, but not living like you and I have seen in this country. But these people in different areas of the world are 115 years old and riding their bikes. They're gardening every single day, or the many, many days of the week that they can. They're out playing with their great-grandchildren on a regular basis. So if you want to learn what is your goal, and if your goal is longevity and a lifestyle that is full of life, so that you have more life in your years. Many of us aren't so interested even in how many years are in our lives. But if you're interested in that life in your years, check out the blue zones. Check out some of those little adjustments that they make every single day and the things they stay away from every single day, like most of us don't do, that cause our bodies to age a lot faster. MIT discovered that we're programmed to live to 120 years old. Our DNA says that's what we should do. So many of us die, though, very prematurely. And why? It's because of those lifestyle choices, those habits that we have every single day that create that quickened or that heightened cell death, or that heightened breakdown of our system. I said that earlier, that I was going to focus a little bit more on the foundation of nutrition and even talk about some of the nutritional supplements that can make that work even better for you. We are what we eat. And Hippocrates even said medicine should be our food. So why aren't we focusing now on food? We should focus on food. And when you look at some of the gurus that either teach many different types of nutrition plans, but the people that are really well respected in all of these plans too, whether that plan is a vegan food plan, or that plan is vegetarian or keto, or something that like paleo plans. If you look at what those gurus are really trying to tell us, those nutritionists that have studied the nutrition behind these plans, you will see that all of these, the best of these, all are based on whole foods. It's the foods the way nature gave them to us. Whatever plan you really want to follow. There's not one that could be better than the other, but I can tell you that they all say if we stay away from processed food, those new to nature molecules that man has created to make foods more convenient maybe make foods more tasty, maybe even, give foods more shelf life. But if we stay away from those processed foods, regardless of which meal plan you follow, you are going to be a lot better off and a lot healthier. I'm not really talking about, what everybody wants to say, like proteins, like what kinds of proteins do I need to eat? Or how much carbohydrates are okay for me to have? Or I'm trying to stay away from my carbs this week. I'm trying to lose weight. Or the fats that we all try to eat such low fat diets all the time. You hear that all the time. But those are macronutrients. And macronutrients are so hard to track when you're talking about food. I don't know how many of you this week have even gone and tried to figure out how much protein, carbohydrates, and fats you've eaten today or yesterday or even this week, because we really can't track it. But the easier way, which everyone now, like I was saying, these gurus would agree, is to look at food groups, because we don't eat macronutrients. We don't eat carbs. We eat food. And what we should do is eat the whole food. And Michael Pollan, who wrote all the food rules books, I don't know if anyone has ever seen that, or In Defense of Food is a nice book that you could look at to really understand how food works, not only in us, but even in the world. But he said 6 words that we should all follow: eat food, mostly plants, and not much. 6 simple words that make such a difference. Eating food, that means the way nature gave it to us in its whole form. Eating plants, because they are the most nutrient-dense foods that we can eat. And then not much, not to overeat. Eat until we're satisfied, but don't eat until our stomachs are full. If we stick to food groups that are plant-based, we're talking about fruits and vegetables, legumes, which are all the beans, all the lentils, all the peanuts, the tofu, all the edamame, and grains. And I like to talk about natural grains whenever I talk about grains, because when you say whole grains, people think that means whole grain food, whole grain bread. And it's not whole grain bread or whole grain flour. It's all about eating the grains the way nature gave them to us, like rice, or barley, or any of those whole grains that we can eat. But even when you base your nutrition on 4 food groups, excuse me, I got this tickle all of a sudden in my throat. I'm trying to drink my aloe water here to try to help it, but it's not working. But even when we eat those food groups, there's a problem because of the way that we farm our food or prepare our food. And so nutritional supplementation is so important. If you were to ask, again, the gurus of nutrition, any of them, whether they're right here in Boston, Massachusetts at Harvard Medical School, and what comes to mind is, the guru of them all, Walter Willett. Walter Willett is an MD, PhD at the School of Nutrition for the Harvard School of Public Health. And Walter Willett is the most published nutritionist, and he has a few books out too, of anybody in the whole world. Walter Willett has written over 1,700 peer-reviewed medical papers on nutrition. I don't think I've read even 1,700, never mind written 1,700 papers. So Walter says that it truly is a good idea in today's society for everybody to be on a multivitamin, to have a nutritional supplement. I was shocked when I heard him say that, and I've read it in many of his publications, because I've always been taught through medical school that nutritional supplements have never been shown to make a difference in anybody's life. Well, that's not true, because it's so hard to measure that difference, first of all. Many of these studies are very observational, but also what criteria are you using to make a difference? I can tell you that when I set up our isotonics in the morning for my family to have, and I line up all the glasses and I put all the different powders together for everybody, for them to have, that changes my mindset. When I drink my isotonic multivitamins and an antioxidant blend that I create, I'm not going to go and eat some processed food. I'm not going to go and start making poor choices throughout the day, because why would I just do that in the morning and then throw it all away? So it's really hard. The point I'm making is it's really hard to measure exactly what a nutritional supplement will do for you in your health. So when you hear people like Walter Willett say that, yes, everybody, just about everybody would benefit from a nutritional supplement, you got to lend an ear to that and pay that some respect. So I would like to cover now some of those, we were talking about the food, the facts, and the foundational supplementation today. I want to go over what some of those fundamental or foundational nutritional supplements that we should all be thinking about every single day. I want to say first a disclaimer that everything I say about any of these supplements is really nothing that's going to involve diagnosing any condition or treating any condition or even curing any medical condition. And any of these discussions or recommendations that I make is not really about creating this doctor-patient relationship with anybody that's on this call or on this seminar. So I just wanted to make that clear, that this is just me talking about supplementation. When you first think about how do you start to create that group of supplementation, you got to think of 3 different levels, or at least this is how I think of it. What we're going to talk about tonight, like the fundamental or foundational group of supplements, then there's going to be supplements that are unique to somebody, let's say, unique to yourself, or in my case, maybe unique to a patient that might have a certain condition or a certain lifestyle. Like if someone has a job that they're very stressed in, let's say like an OBGYN doctor, then there's certain supplements that they're going to want to include to help them with their stress, that will help manage their stress. It might be some herbals, it might be some extra antioxidants, or some more detoxification supplements because they're so stressed out. So even though different individuals require different things, it doesn't mean they just have to stick with the foundational. They should add some additional supplementation. And then there's the supplements that are your once in a while supplements. The ones that you take, let's say, if something comes up in your life, a specific event. For example, like traveling. Like if I ever go to California and come back, how do I get my sleep cycles because of the jet lag back on track? Using some sleep aids would be a good supplementation to help you with that, to get yourself back into your usual schedule. So it's different types of supplementation for different reasons, or you put together what you need for the lifestyle that you have or the gender that you are, because maybe you want to support different hormones in your life at different stages in your life, and you can do that with nutritional supplementation. There's great evidence for that. And then the gurus also talk about specific conditions where they all agree that we should supplement. For example, pregnancy, right up my alley. I talk about prenatal vitamins with women long before they're even pregnant, because we all know how important it is to maximize all of your nutrients in your body, and that we need to get our cells, or the pregnant woman needs to get all her cells and body functions maximized for that new life that she's going to bring into this world. Or the undernourished people. People that have conditions like absorption conditions, or, gastrointestinal conditions, or eating disorders, or things that might influence how they're getting their nutrition. Even though they're eating well, how are they getting that nutrition into their body? And then there's people that, let's say, are not eating very good choices, eating junk food, like the standard American diet, like most people in this country, making poor choices and not getting the nutrient density that they need. So there's lots of reasons in agreement among all the medical doctors, health practitioners, nutritionists, and dietitians that not only should we make the right lifestyle choices and nutritional choices, but supplementing those choices are important. Another big factor is farming, and mass-produced farming has ruined the crops that we're buying or that we're seeing in the supermarkets where we're shopping. This type of farming where all these farms are very unique to a specific type of product because they're getting subsidized to grow that product is ruining the soil, depleting the soil of all its nutrients. There are many studies that show that a lot of the food that we're buying in the supermarkets today are up to 60% less in things like the protein in the foods or the minerals and vitamins that are in the foods from, let's say, 50 or 60 years ago. A huge difference. We're not getting in our food what our grandparents got in their food. It's just not happening. So what we have to make up for is using nutritional supplementation to enable ourselves to stay healthy and stay well the way we want to be. If you look at what the basics are, I also wanted to say that my eighth nutritional principle of my 8 nutritional principles is to take a well-absorbed multivitamin. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs to have that supplementation. So let's look at that foundation, what I call our non-negotiables. What should we include as a good nutritional foundation? It starts off with that multivitamin. And I like to use some props. This is the isotonic form, isotonic brand of multivitamin. It comes in a powdered form in this little bottle, and it's all of the vitamins and minerals that will enable us to function. And I like to think all the way down to the cellular function. Our cells that create then our organs, which then create our body, our cells need lots of cofactors for all of the equations, all of the biochemistry, all of the pathophysiology that's going on in our bodies require lots of different vitamins and lots of different minerals in order for them to perform. And as I said, many of those vitamins and minerals are not in the foods that we're eating, that we think we're getting. And when you add the multivitamin down to the cellular level, it will enable those cells to not only perform and work better, but it would also enable them to get better structure, for them to build on themselves, for them to be able to have a longer life so that they won't die off and our systems will start to fail us. So a very simple multivitamin could be the answer to how your body functions day in and day out. Many of the vitamins have multiple functions too, not just as cofactors, but even as scavengers, as antioxidants, things that will clean up all of the byproducts in our bodies based or because of all of the reactions that are going on. When reactions go on in our bodies, many times the byproducts can harm us, and the vitamins really work well to help scavenger up those. And that brings me to my second non-negotiable, and that is find yourself a good antioxidant. Can we get too many antioxidants in our body? Absolutely. But we need many antioxidants in our body. We need antioxidants outside our cells, inside the nucleus of our cells. We need antioxidants all over our bodies because those products that I talked about can even harm our DNA, can harm our cells and harm the way our cells function. And our antioxidants that we make in our body could be easily overwhelmed by some of the harm of those products. So adding antioxidants will help you scavenger up, ensure that you're not going to have that cellular level damage, which then leads to organ level damage, leading to whole body damage. This is OPC3. OPC3 from Nutrimetrics has 5 of some of the most powerful antioxidants known in all of science. The pycnogenol in OPC3, which is a pine bark extract from a specific forest in France, is the most studied antioxidant in the world. It has, the last count I saw, over 460 peer-reviewed papers that have been published in medical journals about pycnogenol. If you go to PubMed and just put in pycnogenol, you'll see all those papers that come up. So the evidence is there that yes, it does work, and yes, it is powerful, and it's right in our OPC3. Along with that is that whole French paradox, that red wine extract, that resveratrol that's part of red wine, that is a very powerful antioxidant, especially for our blood vessels and cardiovascular health. And then the grapeseed extract and the ORAC value, or the antioxidant value of those 3 are as high as anything else in the world, the 3 highest. And that's why we call it OPC3. Those 3 are the workhorses of this product. Yes, it does balance out with some bioflavonoids and some citric bioflavonoids in this product, but those 3, pycnogenol, grapeseed extract, and red wine extract, are the big 3 that make OPC3. So along with the multivitamin, think about an antioxidant. The third of my non-negotiables, and really this would round it out, would be the omega-3s. The omega-3s are so important for our anti-inflammatory, our chronic anti-inflammatory effects that they have, but also for building blocks, because the 2 essential omega-3s that we need, that we can't make, are EPA and DHA. We all heard about them. What's the big deal about them? Well, EPA has great anti-inflammatory, the easy way to remember it, EPA has great anti-inflammatory activity, and DHA has great building or structural activity, where DHA makes up most of our brain and all of our nervous system. And it even helps our nervous system function optimally because of the way that the fats surround our nerves, and to enable them to conduct those electrical charges, the speed in which they conduct them. So DHA is so important for our brain, our nervous system, and the way it functions. In addition, our eyes, about 70% of our eyes is made up of DHA. So important to get omega-3 fish oils into our diet. If people say, well, you can get that in your food. Well, yes, you can, but most of the food that has omega-3 fish oil does come with a lot of baggage, or there's no way you're going to eat enough to match what's been published to make a difference. That's why supplementation is where you have to go to make a difference and get the values that you need. It says that you need 1,500 milligrams of EPA and DHA in order to have the anti-inflammatory effects and the building effects in your body. And the heart health omega-3 fish oil from Nutrimetrics will give you that purified form of omega-3s to give you the EPA and DHA of 1,500 milligrams. 3 important foundational supplements that are what I call the non-negotiable 3. These are the 3 that everybody should take. Now, if you want to say, well, Dan, I know I've been hearing a lot over this past year that we should be adding others too, because we're not getting the right levels in order to protect our bodies against invaders, whether they're viruses or other types of bacteria. How do we strengthen our immune system? Well, you're right. So I've added a couple more that I would like to talk about tonight also. The big one, which again has been deemed the most beneficial, it's actually a hormone, or the most beneficial supplement, is vitamin D. It's the most beneficial because when you look at all of the research that's been done on vitamin D, whether you're looking at, all of the meta-analysis where they combine different papers to truly see if it makes a difference with larger populations of people, which give those studies results much more power. If you look at those, they all say that vitamin D not only gives us the longevity and keeps people on track with living the number of years they want to live, but they also decrease the all-cause mortality rate for all conditions. So for all causes that people unfortunately die too early or prematurely, vitamin D will influence that. So why do you need to take all this extra vitamin D? Well, there's a vitamin D receptor on every single cell of our body. That's got to tell you right away that it's very important. Why would we have a receptor? And that receptor is at the nuclear level. It's in the nucleus where our DNA lives. Very important in how it influences all the cells in our body. And when you want to know, how much vitamin D should you take, it comes back to my first nutritional principle, and that is you got to know your numbers. So you need to have your vitamin D levels checked. By and large, if we live above the latitude of Atlanta here in the United States, we're not getting enough sun to get enough vitamin D in our bodies. And the way the sun bounces off the ozone layer, we're not getting the rays that will really create the vitamin D in our bodies. Because we can make vitamin D on our skin from sunlight, but we can't when we live up here in the Boston area. And our vitamin D levels should be above 40. The data in the literature says that lowering your risk for the chronic conditions like heart disease, obesity, and even cancer, you have to have levels above 36. So I don't like to get, a few points here or there. Let's just all be above 40. We know you're not in any toxic harm if you're below 100. And of all the patients that I've seen that I've checked their vitamin D level, I've never seen anybody close to 100. But let's all see if we can get it above 40, and that's going to help us with those benefits, not only with longevity, but lowering our rate of disease and lowering our rate of all-cause mortality. Well documented in the literature. The other one I also wanted to add was the curcumin extreme. Curcumin extreme is the active ingredient in turmeric, which is a spice commonly used, all over the world, especially in the Middle East. But it has such powerful antioxidant effects, detoxification effects, and anti-inflammatory effects. Curcumin, and especially with curcumin extreme, because it uses such a purified form of curcuminoids and uses a branded form called Curcu Green. They changed the name from the BCM 95 to Curcu Green a few years ago. But that is a purified form of the curcuminoids so that we know we're getting what we're getting. One of the arguments that you hear all the time is, vitamins or supplements don't do you any good because they're not regulated. The FDA doesn't regulate nutritional supplements. Well, that's not true either. The FDA very much regulates supplements. They can shut a plant down if they don't have on the label, if they put things on the label that aren't actually in the product. So, you need good manufacturing processes in order to stay afloat, because the FDA will shut you right down. And the FDA doesn't, have the same standards of any of the claims you might make with pharmaceuticals that, can make claims as far as treatment for certain disease states. But the FDA needs to know that whatever you're saying about your supplements has to be in line with their regulations too, and how it can be supportive or that it can, influence your life, but not that it's so treatment or curative of any kinds of diseases. So there is so much data out there on curcumin or these curcuminoids, on how they help detoxify our liver, how they help with our inflammation all over our bodies, but even specifically inflammation like in our joints. They're very, very powerful anti-inflammatory agents. So if there was something that I would want to add to everybody's, basic, supplements that they should take every day, that's going to make a huge difference in their lives, curcumin would also be in the top of my foundational supplements. And the last one I wanted to bring up as a foundational is the probiotics. Everybody has heard that the road to health is through your gut. Our gut sees, for the first time or first before our other organs or our other parts of our body, sees what we ingest. And we are what we eat, but it sees it first. And our gut has to be healthy. And what we're learning is more and more how influential our microbiome is. That's all the bacteria that live in our intestines, how influential it is over so many disease states, cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes and cancer, the big four chronic diseases that are killing more than 75% of Americans every single day, hundreds of thousands. And if we keep our gut healthy and we support our microbiome, then we can enable our bodies to be able to function and live better and have a better life, not only for longevity, but also getting that life in our years. So what is it with probiotics? Like, what do they do? Well, they are the supportive bacteria. They're the bacteria like the lactobacillus and the Bifidobacillus. What is it? I don't even have my glasses next to me. Let's say, but they are the bacteria. And in this bacteria, we call it the probiotics 10 because there are 10, thank you. There are 10 supportive bacteria in the probiotics 10 that I like to call the Tom Brady's of probiotics. Tom Brady can take a team and change their chemistry and influence them so much that they can win a Super Bowl, right? When they were the worst team and have the worst record in all of NFL football for the history of NFL football. But probiotics are those Tom Brady's that influence all the 150 other strains of bacteria in our gut to enable them to perform better and help us not only digest food, but also to even make certain vitamins, to make certain compounds that our bodies need in order to function optimally. So why not help the rest of your gut with all of the bacteria that we have with some of the major players that can influence them? So if you look at the non-negotiables, the multivitamins, the antioxidants, the omega-3 fish oil, and you add in a few more that have been shown in the scientific literature to optimize our health and influence our bodies as a whole, adding in some vitamin D to make sure that your vitamin D levels are above 40, and then to add in some curcumin. And I love the curcumin extreme because of the purification of those curcuminoids. So you're getting maximal benefit for inflammation, antioxidants, and its detoxification qualities that product has. And then getting your gut to work the best so that not only are you going to be able to digest your food better and utilize your food better, but absorb it even better. just like your vitamins. You want to have a product that you can absorb the best in order to get the benefits from them. So if you even look at a product like the Probiotics 10, that's where you're going to make the biggest difference in your health by keeping your gut the healthiest. I think we're just about ready to take any questions. I don't know, Tina, if you have been looking at the chat or if some of the others have been looking at the chat. I know Pamela's been here with me and checking out the chat. I would love to answer any questions that anyone has.
Awesome.
Oh, the isotonics. Yes, I did mention isotonics. Okay, thank you. Someone mentioned in the chat, why do you think, or how can you ensure the absorption of a good multivitamin? Well, that is where I learned from Nutrimetrics, from these products that are in their powdered form, that when you reconstitute them in water, in a specific amount of water, they have a certain concentration that's very similar to the concentration of our tears and of our saliva and of all the fluids in our bodies. But the biggest thing is not just that, not only the same concentrations, so they move in and out of cells very easily, but we also have receptors in our stomachs that when our food that we're eating gets to be a certain concentration, it moves that food along to our small intestine for then it to be digested fully and absorbed into our bodies. So when they're in an isotonic form, not only is it in a concentration that's similar to our body, but it's also in a concentration that's going to enable our stomach to move it along, to dump it into our duodenum, to dump it into our small intestine so we can absorb it better. So these vitamins and antioxidants in their isotonic form are over 95% bioavailable, meaning that they're available to our bodies when we drink them almost within 10 minutes of drinking them, the way the process works in our stomach, moving it into the intestines for us to absorb them. That's why I really fell in love with Nutrimetrics. And as I started learning more and more about the science team at this company and how much they care about the quality of the products that they're putting out there, they look for the specific ingredients that they know are the best, they know are studied the most, and they make these products with those ingredients to ensure that we're getting everything we're supposed to get in an isotonic form. Really, really powerful stuff. What else is out there, Tina? I can't really.
There's a lot of good questions here.
All right. You can summarize a couple. I think we have a few minutes. I should be able to answer a few.
Let's see. There was somebody that was asking about the turmeric and the black pepper to be fully absorbed.
The black pepper, yeah. So another thing I like, and I'm glad you brought that up. Another thing I like about Nutrimetrics products is they give them to us very much like whole foods. They give them to us in combinations of ingredients that are synergistic or that complement each other and help us utilize them the best. So when you read the back of the supplement facts label, you can see that it's not just curcumin. It's not just the curcuminoids. They also give you broccoli seed extract, which enables us, again, to absorb it and utilize it better. Any of the cruciferous vegetables have properties in them that will enable us to absorb the curcuminoids better than if they weren't available to us. And on the nutrition facts, that is in the product. So yes, these products use combinations of ingredients that will enable our bodies to use. Very, very important. The OPC3, like I said, 5 different antioxidants, not just pycnogenol, but if you need more pycnogenol, say that you have other conditions. As I said, we have foundational supplements, but then we have unique supplements for somebody, let's say, that has cardiovascular challenges or, peripheral vascular challenges. then we have other products like this Thyminol, which again uses a combination of ingredients to maximize the benefits. Not only is there, the black cumin seed extract in here, but also pycnogenol together. And when you look at studies that have used pycnogenol or even black cumin seed extract individually, they work great. But when you combine them together, the synergistic activity of both of them far exceeds any of them given together. Given individually, I mean. Together, they work so much better. So again, as we talk about unique needs for different people, pycnogenol, its focus on antioxidant activity is on our blood vessels, on our heart, on sexual function. Pycnogenol is great for blood flow to all our organs, including our sexual organs. And so Thyminol could be a great additive to someone's supplementation if they have those challenges. Astaxanthin, another one. If you have cardiovascular, eye health, this has been shown to be very, very powerful for people that have challenges with eye health or with cardiovascular health. And one of the things I like about astaxanthin, especially the Nutrimetrics astaxanthin, the prime astaxanthin, is that it's never to become a pro-oxidant. Pro-oxidants can be dangerous, can be inflammatory. Astaxanthin is an antioxidant that will remain an antioxidant no matter how much of it you take. It will be beneficial to you. This gives you the scientific literature says that we should have 6 milligrams of astaxanthin to give us the antioxidant activity. And on the supplement facts, it says that there is 6 milligrams of the branded Astareal astaxanthin, 6 milligrams in each capsule, and it's in oil because it's very fat soluble, so we absorb it better if it's in an oil-filled capsule. So again, science team putting together products that they know we're going to absorb that have branded forms of these products, so we know we're getting the quality and we know we're getting what they say is in them, and they give us the right amount too, the 6 milligrams.
All right, we have a couple more minutes. So there was a couple questions about the probiotics. One question was, when's the best time to take the probiotic? And another one was questioning probiotics versus digestive enzymes, or digestive enzymes with the probiotics. Is that?
Yeah, so the probiotics are the actual bacteria. This brand, Probiotics 10 from Nutrimetrics, actually comes with a very protective, time-released system so that we ensure that it gets through the hostile environment of the acidic gut of the stomach into the intestines where it belongs, and then all the way down to the large intestine, and it isn't digested by all of the enzymes in our small intestine. So it's a great delivery system to get those bacteria to the home that they want to be in. But also the difference between a probiotics and the digestive enzymes, the digestive enzymes are the enzymes that help us digest food. Probiotics, even though they will enable us to digest our food better, they will eat a lot of the fiber in our food and help us digest the things that we have difficulty digesting. But the enzymes the digestive enzymes will help us digest, let's say, food products that we don't commonly come across every single day. When I travel, I bring digestive enzymes because I eat out more often than I do when I'm not traveling, or I'm in different parts of the country that have different foods, or even different preparation styles that might upset my stomach. And so the added digestive enzymes, even though I might make many of those digestive enzymes, the proteases and the lipases, whether I'm digesting fats or proteins or carbohydrates, it doesn't matter. When you support it with additional enzymes, you're going to feel better if you're in a strange environment. So that's the difference, is those enzymes will help support your breakdown of foods, whereas the probiotics will support your overall gut health and your overall body health because of all the activities that those bacteria do.
Great. There were a couple more, but I don't know. We're running out of time.
I'm good. I'm good.
You're good? All right. Somebody was asking about, well, gastritis, best product to help with gastritis. But I think we talked about that with the digestive health.
Yep.
And somebody else was asking, why not consider vitamin B as an essential choice for supplementation?
Great. And that's a great question. If you get a good multivitamin like our Nutrimetrics multivitamin or Isotonics multivitamin, they are chock full of B vitamins. Yes, B vitamins are soluble. B vitamins are utilized by all the cells in our body through all the methylation pathways in our liver and detoxification, yada, yada, yada. So important. I agree with you. As part of our daily essentials packet that gives us multivitamins, antioxidants, calcium support, and B vitamin support, or those four supplements. Why don't I include them? Because they are really in a good multivitamin. I'm trying to give you, if you're starting somebody out on a supplement regimen that might be new to supplementation for their nutritional support, to use a multivitamin, an antioxidant, and an omega-3 fish oil, dollar for dollar, without having them, empty their pocketbook and buy all kinds of products. And, those three will give them that health that they're looking for. B vitamins all day long. I took a hit of B vitamins this afternoon around 3:30 because I had such a busy day in the office. And it just picked me up again to be able to finish all the patients and even make all the phone calls before I got on the call tonight with you all. But, they're important. We chew them up very quickly. If you can keep an extra set of B vitamins and use them throughout the day, not just as your basic regimen, that's not a bad practice either to add to whatever unique situations you have.
Absolutely. That's my 3 o'clock pick me up every day, Dr. Dan.
Yeah.
Another shot of B complex.
Throw a couple of B vitamin capfuls along with a couple of acai capfuls, and I think that you'll all find yourselves picked up for the rest of the day.
There you go. Absolutely. And there was a question that I think your whole presentation answered. Somebody was asking, what vitamins do you recommend for somebody who's transitioning into a plant-based diet?
That's great. Because as we transition into plant-based diets and become plant-based, it's different than being, it's different than being vegan. So as you become plant-based, there aren't specific vitamins that you would miss, except for vitamin B12. And if you want to add vitamin D, that hormone vitamin D, that would also be a great supplement. But the idea of being more plant-based is that we eat the rainbow of foods. And when you eat the rainbow of foods, get all the reds, the oranges, the greens, the blues, the purples into your foods, that's what's going to ensure you that you're going to get all the vitamins and minerals because of the variety of foods you're eating. If you get stuck on one of the colors, and that's also one of the things that, when I was traveling and trying to figure out what type of medicine modality that I was looking for to help people with their health and not just with disease, I would go to conferences, and sure enough, on the tables during the breaks, if you squinted your eyes, it would be monochromatic. It would all be the same color of donuts, muffins, coffee, and tea during the breaks. You couldn't find yourself a berry, a piece of fruit, anything red, blue, purple, orange, nothing. And so that's the difference when you're transitioning into a plant-based diet. Yes, it's important that you eat the rainbow. If you supplement with the B vitamins, you'll get your B12. B12, you need in micrograms a day. It's 150 micrograms a day. It's a very small amount in order to be B12 efficient or B12 have a normal level.
Awesome. It looks like somebody else was said, I was told by a doctor that if you supplement magnesium, it should only be 65 milligrams daily value, but ours is 200, the isotonics is 200 milligrams. Is that too much to take every day with OPC3?
No. There's lots of data out there on magnesium. One of our challenges in magnesium has always been, how do we measure levels in people? Because it doesn't always just occur in our serum for us to measure, but it's in all our cells inside our tissues. And so it's hard to figure out if someone's getting enough magnesium. But all that being said, what's been shown is, how can you make a difference if you're magnesium deficient by your symptoms, whether your nervous system's not functioning well, whether your bone health system is out of whack or not functioning well. The data says that we need 400 milligrams a day. 400 milligrams a day. And when you take magnesium, there are lots of side effects with magnesium because of their effects on our nervous system and on our brain. And so many of us that use magnesium as a supplement take magnesium at night as we start to wind down and we start to get ready for our sleep and restoration. It is a great restoration product. Not only will it help our peripheral nerves relax and our muscles to relax by the way it competes with calcium, and we need calcium for our muscles to fire and our nerves to fire, so it competes with it, so it helps them relax, but it also helps our brain relax. And in our product, the magnesium product that we have, there's a form of magnesium called magnesium glycinate. And that glycinate, that amino acid glycine that makes that magnesium salt, helps us relax our excitatory neurotransmitters like epinephrine and norepinephrine that give us our excitement or give us our awakeness. It helps them relax. It competes with them and binds with them so that we get a double whammy. Not only the magnesium that helps us relax, but also that glycine that will help us relax too. So we take them at night, but it's 400 milligrams. And you should get a magnesium that has many different salts in it, because we will absorb that better in our gut, because the receptors for the different magnesium salts can get overwhelmed if they're just like, let's say, magnesium carbonate or a magnesium gluconate. So it's best to get a variety in your supplement.
I think I got to most of the ones on the chat. If anybody wants to unmute themselves and thank Dr. Dan and ask any other questions, it was fabulous. I'm getting texts, Dr. Dan, about how great it was. So.
Well, I appreciate that you invited me to be with the group, and I was able to share a few ideas that I have about how to create to be well, how to create a health for you, so that, yes, as I love to say, you get more life to your years than even years to your life.
It's so awesome.
I have a question.
So wonderful.
Thank you so much. I'm getting texts over here too that they learned so much tonight. So we really thank you, Dr. Dan. And thank you, Tina. You were amazing. Thank you for helping me out tonight. It was so great. So does anybody else have any last comments or anything before we go?
I do have a question really quickly. Can we start with the probiotics 10s and the curcumin and then work up to the other 3 foundations, or is it best to start with the 3 foundations and go down?
Yeah, a great question. I talked about 6 different products. The foundation, the non-negotiables are the top 3, the multivitamin, antioxidants, and omega-3 fish oils. They're going to give you the biggest bang for your buck for all of the different chronic diseases that your body is fighting every single day. And then individually adding, the vitamin D, the curcumin, and the probiotics would be more for those that have, not just specific complaints, but if you do, let's say, have joint issues or detoxification issues, adding that curcumin. If you live up in the Boston area, adding the vitamin D. So there's reasons that your non-negotiable 3 become, a foundational 6 because of the things that in your life you need support with. That's where you add those next 3. They're great. I mean, it's hard to be able to pick just 3 for everybody, but if you truly have a foundation and then you build on that foundation, that's where you'll see the difference.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so normally when you go to the doctor's office and they tell you, you can't take certain pills if you're taking certain pills. How does that translate across all these different vitamins and all those different supplements that they can? Is there like any supplements or vitamins or stuff that we can't use with each other, or they're all compliant with each other?
Yeah, great question. I get that question all the time. And I've even spoken with different physicians about patients that we share that are taking supplements, and the other physicians that aren't familiar with them are very nervous about what the side effects or toxicities are with those supplements. Yes, I mean, there are toxicities with supplements. That's why in Nutrimetrics, we take such great care to ensure that the amounts that we add to our products do not exceed those toxic levels. And again, the FDA follows that very closely. That's one of the things that they do with their monitoring of supplement companies. But when you talk about what side effects or what interactions that supplements have with other medications, again, that's something that has to be individually discussed. That's not something I think I can really bring up in a forum like this. But if you have those types of issues where you're on medications, you should look into how they interact. Discuss that with your provider so that if you don't have those answers, ask them to help you find those answers, whether or not you can take a certain supplement or not. Everybody's medication history is complicated, and you want to make sure you don't have any toxic effects.
Well, the question really was with all the different things that products that you offer that we take in the Astaxanthin system. Are they toxic with each other, or it doesn't matter which one you take?
These 3 are the 3 foundational, the 3 non-negotiables. You can take them all together. Yes, you don't have to separate them. You can take the omega-3 fish oils along with the OPC3 and the multivitamin. Yes, they will not interact and become toxic.
Awesome. All right. Okay. All right. I think, are we good? So I just want to put a shout out. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Dr. Dan, we really appreciate it. And on the 13th, May 13th, we'll have our incredible Tina Rose. She will be here speaking on hormones. So we are so excited to have her as our guest speaker. So you guys are all welcome to come back, bring some guests, and get educated from our incredible nurse practitioner, Tina Rose. So, all right, you guys, we'll see you on the 13th. Thank you again. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Great job. Great job. Bye-bye.
Good night.
That passed in May.